for his semi-final appearance. This is Ragnarok.
And up here in the top left-hand side of the map, the blue ZERG player, the Finnish phenom on his new team, Basilisk. He is Serral. So far, it has been, as exactly Wardy was saying, pretty standard openings. We got mirrored builds in terms of Baneling Nest timings, the third base is coming down, the Ling counts, everything looking like they're all totally aligned with each other. Yep, can't just rely on defending the choke point at the natural. The Queens are going to be making their way over to the third base for now. Lings for Serral, maybe surprising Ragnarok in terms of their numbers for a moment, as he does have to back off for a little bit. The Queens getting surrounded, but the Banelings finish warping. Oh! Double detonate, and now that means that the Lings have free access to the Queen.
This is really bad right now for Ragnarok. He's lost one Queen, the other one is not injecting, so he's missing so much production, which he needs to have right here. He is fortunate Serral didn't continue with a ton more units, because this could have been bad, but it's still not exactly pretty. One Baneling already set to go. That Baneling of Ragnarok's not going to get a finish here, and I think Serral might just be able to monster mode his way through this first game. Gonna be a big detonation. No, the drone split away, and Serral will try and carve out as much as possible. He should have two more Banelings still arriving. Here they are. What can he do with these? The Queen gets rid of one. The other will go down. It's not going to be too major, but Serral has carved a lead out of this early game scenario. And, you know, Ragnarok's building his own roaches, but he didn't have the gas bank that Serral had. He's still not mining as much gas as Serral, and it's all because of how this early game has panned out. He just cannot afford enough roaches. So A, you're on less roaches, and B, you're not going to have the Link count to protect your roaches. This attack should be heavily favored for Serral. Ragnarok needs to cancel the lair right now. He just did it. He needs as many units as possible. Honestly, probably some spine crawlers. He just can't afford everything he realistically needs. He will try and buy time with the counterattack, which is nice, but Serral is still moving across the map.
Yeah, Serral narrowly dodging a situation where those Lings could have gotten past that wall and at the natural and into the main base. It does seem like Serral is going to be arriving at Ragnarok's side of the map very shortly. These Banelings going to be causing some problems for Serral, making it harder to defend. The Queen is going to go down, but both the Banelings have been taken care of, and Serral has more than enough to defend and also offend on the other side of the map.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because missiles against Carapace, Roach on Roach is better for the missile player, but Serral will soon have these Lings showing up, but does he lose too many Roaches before then? He's never really meant to be losing his Roach count here. Here finally comes some of the Lings. The counterattacks of Ragnarok have done enough to throw Serral off and to really disrupt his plans. Serral says, yeah, this isn't working out. Missile upgrade, let's get that started. Let's go into my own lair. He's not really behind on tech. He did enough to at least reset Ragnarok, but this was a situation where Serral thought, I can win, and he's not been able to close it out.
Ragnarok is not thinking about a fourth base at the moment. He's thinking about moving across the map, and Serral should have caught wind of this by now.
Yeah, this is where these Lings obviously do become valuable because they can counterattack, but it is going to be army supply he doesn't have here. So as these Roaches approach, let's see if Serral can have +1 missiles. It's not there just yet, and Serral isn't a concave, so he's going to push this back. This is really bad for Ragnarok, as he's going to get caught. Serral with the surround, and Ragnarok's going to get corrosive piled potentially out of this game as his supply disappears.
And there it is, GG Serral!
As we are going to see Serral immediately at Baneling Nest. The faster it is, generally I always feel the safer it is, right? You're not going to be in worry, you know, any sort of concern. For the most part, this is just super standard, and once again, that's why we see it on both sides of the map.
So, curious to see if Serral is thinking to get aggressive yet again. He's still firing up a handful of drones here and there, but Roaches are starting to turn on out.
Yeah, the Roach count is building. Like you say, there is a couple more drones in production. I really feel like, I mean, they have to be the last couple, right? If he's going to do something with his Carapace timing. So, you know, when we go, Overlords will finish, and then we'll see exactly what he builds into. The thing is, Ragnarok is building Roaches of his own. I'm just not sure the Carapace should be able to be enough for Serral to break through here. But he's got no lair, so he is committed. Like, he needs to do something with this because he's going to be heavily behind in the tech, Roach speed. Potential for a Spire is going to be there for Ragnarok if he holds on here. Serral's going to be behind if damage isn't done.
It's really going down, and Serral is not being halted with his attack whatsoever. Comes in with these Roaches, +1 missile attack versus +1 Carapace. Baneling's also coming on in.
Yeah, Banelings are very supply efficient, so when similar supplies here, it means it's actually better for Serral. He's going to go drone hunting, and he's already got a big advantage on the road camp, but will it be enough? Because from the top side, Ragnarok's getting his reinforcements here. Spine crawlers are finishing, starting to join the fight. We've only killed 5 drones, and Serral is going to get a few more, but he's also starting to tech up. He's realizing this isn't going to end the game, and is his tech going to be in time? Maybe, maybe not, but he is going to get held off here, and he's still down on drones, and Ragnarok takes a lead in game 2.
Ragnarok with a magnificent hold there should now be able to take advantage of things. We do see a drone.
There's a cancelled Spire.
Yeah, the Spire end-of game canceled. So that is going to be a saving grace there for Serral. A pretty big one, because otherwise he would just be losing complete map control. It would be a very awkward situation where Serral has lost both his army supply, his worker supply, and also the tech lead there. But now at least Ragnarok is still going to be able to plant down his Spire and still be able to hold on to those other leads to try and see what he can make do with them.
Yeah, absolutely. It was one of those scenarios where it's like, if you don't cancel the Spire and you hold, you're in a way better position. But if you don't cancel the Spire, you might just die.
It's all or nothing.
Yeah, exactly. So he was all or nothing. He's still ahead. He's just not maybe as ahead as he could have been. That's fine. The important thing is you lived here. And he's actually going to go across the match as we're watching. Well, Ragnarok's first-person view. He's going to jump on these roaches. Morphin Ravagers. Serral still on the way. He is going to come in, though, with the surround. You can see just how blindsided Ragnarok is. And these Lings are going to help Serral out to turn this around and stay in this. Ragnarok misjudging this attack and is going to get pushed back. Serral will bounce into a supply lead off this. And that is going to be Ragnarok, well, just not finding what he wanted. However, if he continues to scare Serral into Roach Link production, that Spire might go unanswered. He didn't even start Spores. His whole plan here is to just force these mutas back onto his Roaches. The problem with this is that Ragnarok has enough Roaches to buy time himself, and that's going to make it very difficult for Serral to do meaningful damage because he wants to get on top of mineral lines. You can see these mutas going Ravager hunting. Serral will come forward, and this is going to be it. He's got a Spine Crawler or two to go through as well, remember, as he goes for these Roaches, but it's more than these Roaches. He needs economic damage at the very least.
Great micro there from Ragnarok, not allowing those Lings to fully surround his Roaches. He gets all the way pinned back here, gets the benefit of that Spine Crawler. The mutas continuing to work away at the Roach count. Does Serral have enough? He is starting to be at even-ish supply, and even though it does seem like he's breaking through, remember, more reinforcements are going to be coming out here from the north side for Ragnarok. Serral continuing to find bits and pieces of damage. He needs more reinforcements. Some more Lings do arrive. Is it enough?
Well, the big thing is he's buying time. He's going into Hydras behind this, so he'll finally have an answer to the Mutalisks once they come across the map. So there is a big positive here for Serral at the end of all of this. He might still be down on drones, but he's given himself at least a chance to fight with the Mutas. If he could have wiped out a mineral line there in full, brilliant. What he did was probably bare minimum to still be alive in this game.
Hydras have been revealed now, and Ragnarok knows he has to be a bit more careful with that Mutalisk control. They're not just going to have free reign completely over the map, but still going to be able to find little bits and pieces of damage there as the Hydras are still growing in numbers. And Ragnarok still knows that there's no easy way for Serral to move out onto the map freely. He knows that Serral has to respect the mutas, so going Overlord hunting is one thing, but also just expanding and taking additional bases, playing a little bit greedy behind this until you know Serral has enough to attack you is going to be a really good play for Ragnarok.
Right, I mean, Serral can't really attack until he has enough. It's exactly as you say, right? So, yeah, it's the right move. You have the map control. You can play greedier. Serral doesn't even have Hydra speed, so moving on the map seems extremely unlikely. Yeah, Ragnarok has the lead here in game number 2. The only thing he doesn't have going for him is he's playing against Serral. And Serral's pretty clutch, man. We've seen him in ridiculous ZVZ scenarios of the past, especially ones like this where he's likely the player that has to hunker down, play a bit slower, just maybe tech up a bit, and just try and slowly grab his way back into this game. Ragnarok is just building a ton of Roaches, though. He wants to make a killing move. He says, hey, if you're building so many Hydras, are they really going to withstand a massive Roach Ravager attack? It's going to be a very good question. We'll be finding out very shortly because Ragnarok's more or less max. He doesn't have much else to wait on. I'm not even convinced he'll go for +1 carapace before attacking because he's already got +2 missiles versus 1-1. I feel like it's good enough for him to just get moving. That's
true. It's going to be a good question of whether or not it's going to be beneficial for him to have waited for +1 carapace, but he's going to go regardless, like you were saying, Wardy. Muta's going to try and actually just buy a little bit of time and also distract Serral a bit, force him to spend some actions on the other side as the engagement breaks out, but Corrosive Vials are going to be landing on a handful of the Hydras. Is this going to be a good enough fight for Ragnarok, though?
No, because the Mutas aren't doing anything. They're just sat off to the side, being absolutely AFK, and they are going to go pick off an Overseer. Ragnarok, you're losing the main fight, buddy. You need everything you can get. He's in full-on retreat mode, and maybe Serral can't chase him down, but it's a fight that keeps Serral in this, and maybe a chance for Serral to take a look at a 4th base now.
Oh, such a rough fight there for Ragnarok. Drops a lot of supply during the fight, and now that whole timing that we were talking about of Serral needing to build up to the correct number of Hydras so that he can safely move out onto the map to feel confident about it, he's hit it. He can move across the map. He can get aggressive now.
Serral's all in though, right? Because he's still not looking for a 4th base. He still doesn't believe he can do enough. I think against 5 mutas maybe he could, but he seems to think he just has to keep spamming units and going into this position. He feels like he has to attack in. He's not starting +2 missiles. So Serral is looking to end this game. I'm still not convinced you can do that. It's very different being the defender like he was in the last fight to being the aggressor pushing up these ramps and into Ragnarok. He's going to spread out. It's going to be a massive arc from Serral. He's going to come from two sides, but let's see if Ragnarok can hold on.
Serral's coming in from the left and the right, and Ragnarok is holding that high ground. He's dodging corrosive biles left and right. Serral going to be doing the same with a lot of his hydras, but eats some corrosive biles on the left-hand side. He's starting to have his roach lines thinned out, and Ragnarok has too much. GG. Well, we do have our usual stuff, the Baneling Nest, the hatcheries are going to be finishing on up, but I'm really curious how you felt about the idea of Ragnarok going for those mutas. I know that Serral decided to get pedal to the metal, aggression and stuff with the carapace upgrade and everything. But I feel like mutas have still been a pretty strong thing to go for in ZVZ, and Ragnarok, I think, does a really good job with them as well. Yeah, I mean, it is going to be interesting because there are some roaches out there for Serral, and he was kind of doing that move out there, so maybe the Spinecrawler would have been helpful. It looks like the Spinecrawler, I believe, is going to finish up. Yep.
Nope.
Oh, wow. Very last second cancel there.
He was just waiting for as long as possible to confirm, hey, you're not laying roaching me, right? Just double check. And immediately now he's like, oh, roach on roach? Hello. Back to my friend the Spire. So
there we go.
He clearly knows how he wants to go about this, and Serral going to scout it almost immediately this time. That's a massive catch, and it's information he wasn't playing with last game.
I also love that the position for this is actually exactly Serral doing exactly what I was hoping he would do. Just send the Overseer to the top left, because it's going to be so easy to double check and confirm the Spire did not get canceled. There's no change in plans later on. That Overseer can sit there very, very safely and just check back in every so often.
The thing is, Serral's not going to build Hydras unless he sees mutas. Instead, he's just going to keep building roaches, which is the right call, because by building Hydras, he would put himself in trouble to this attack. Instead, I think he's going to be pretty well prepared. Ragnarok does run up here, a little bit of an army supply lead, but Serral has that defender's advantage. Let's see if it'll be enough for Serral as he tries to hold on. He's got his queens in this fight as well. Any bit of extra damage can go a long way as Ragnarok trying to dive on one side and sway this in his favor.
And Ragnarok actually seemed to make a bit of progress. Remember, he's also got some reinforcements that have been streaming across the map as they are going to be making a big appearance over here. Serral's starting to get overwhelmed. The overwhelming numbers are starting to compound and snowball further and further in Ragnarok's favor. So many of these roaches for Ragnarok are very low on hit points though, and as more reinforcements pop out here for Serral, it seems like Ragnarok stopped reinforcing.
Yeah, but he's got mutas, that's why, because he wasn't building roaches anymore. He's going for the mutas, and now Serral's like, this is when you've built them. He had not built any of his hydras yet. The spore crawlers were not built, he had a hydra den. He didn't think he'd need to worry about this. He's now sending his own roaches across the map, but Ragnarok is building his own roaches. It's a beautiful 1-2 punch from Ragnarok. It is a top tier move, and it is working beautifully in this game, putting him heavily ahead against Serral.
Does Ragnarok have enough roaches to sway the roaches back? It looks like yes, and now the mutas get free pickings, free killings here. This is a really unfortunate situation for Serral as he knows he is just going to be bleeding out more and more roaches as he was already down in army supply. Even the hydras are getting picked off as they're popping on out. Finally, a spore caller finishes to protect them, but what is there left to protect?
This game, I think, is over Fear Dragon, right? I mean, these mutas have so much control, and the follow-up is now Serral is trying to make hydras. Ragnarok's already rebuilt roaches, so he's going to come in and overwhelm in yet another way, and Ragnarok is just constantly a move ahead of Serral in this game. He was a little bit better on the initial build that gave him the ability to do this, and it's just been, like I say, Serral always trying to play from like a move behind.
Yeah, it really does feel like exactly that Serral is continuously just kind of one step behind his opponent. Ragnarok is already anticipating Serral's moves and making the extra steps to just anticipate and counter them. Ragnarok has such a stellar lead now, not only in income, not only in army supply, but I mean, he's very soon, if he wins this game, he's going to have a lead in the series as well.
Oh yeah, man. He is more or less a map away right now from being in the semifinals because this one is very good for him. I mean, it doesn't matter how well you play from here as Serral, like, you just can't deal with the fact that you're behind in a bunch of units. He does have an upgrade lead, 2-1 against just +1, so that is something for Serral. He's got the hydras to dish out some damage, but he doesn't have his own corrosive vials to try and force his opponent to dodge around as much. He has one Ravager, and that's the issue. These hydras have to kite back. They're losing damaging time, and Ragnarok just has way too much. Here are the mutas just to say goodbye to you, Serral, in Game 3. Ragnarok. Okay, here's the first 3 drones. They're going to be the spine crawlers. The rest of the drones are going to get ready to back them up, and here we are. The drones are on the way, and Ragnarok wants to cheese his way into the semis.
Now you have to really pay attention. Where are the overlords? These are newer maps, so these players have had time to adjust to get used to where the overlord scouting patterns are. This overlord is not going to get a single whiff of these drones moving across the map for a bit. Finally, this next Overlord is going to be able to catch wind of this, and Serral and Ragnarok both see each other.
Yeah, this is important for Serral. Gives him a little bit of mental heads up, and he's going to go for the wall off. This is big. You can't get the spine crawlers in a position where they're walled against the bottom side ledge, and they can't also be able to hit the low ground and the high ground same time. These spines up here are way easier to deny in this upcoming micro war. So Serral, it's an investment of money, but he's going to see that as a worthwhile one, as now he goes to buying time, and again, he'll get ready to fight those spines. So he's going to come forward with the drones. He catches the lings. A little bit of a surround. Now his own lings are coming, and Serral is going to go on the offensive with his defense.
He's target firing down the northmost spine crawler while the drones and the lings chase after Serral. First spine crawler has been canceled. Second spine crawler being worked on. It gets canceled as well. The third spine crawler is going to be the last remaining hope here as the queen pops on out. Serral is overwhelming Ragnarok, and the spine crawler is going to go down. GG, Serral takes us to an ace match.
He is. This early game, we're back to just kind of being pretty nonchalant about the first 2 minutes. It's hatch gas pool. No one's really taking the edge over the other. The queens and lings start now, and in the next 30 seconds, we start to see if there will be any diversity on a baneling nest or anything. So, just going to see that. Obviously, ling speed first, baneling nest perhaps after. As there is the ling speed on both sides.
Absolutely. Now, another thing to keep an eye out for is we've kind of had a weird best of 5 so far. Serral did go for the Carapace upgrade attacks in 2 of the 4 games we've seen so far, but one of those games we didn't really get to see what Serral wanted to do because, you know, there was a spine crawler rush instead. Kind of hits a little bit faster than you're going for the +1 Carapace upgrade. So I am curious, altitude is not the most normal of maps. When you're talking about ladder practice and everything, this is a map that a lot of people have vetoed and everything. This is a map that you don't necessarily get to play as many practice games on unless you're really actively trying to get some practice on it.
Big map, so if you want to play Ling Roach, there's just so much preparation time for the opponent defensively.
Yeah, this is going to be pretty interesting, and cheeky Serral sending some banelings around and morphing them in. Not going to get scouted either, despite Ragnarok actually trying to scout for this. But this is going to be funny. The Evo Chamber is going to be a good bit later here for Serral as well. So even if he was going to go for his own Carapace upgrade, or if he goes for a missile attack upgrade, it is going to be finishing up a lot later than the Carapace upgrade there for Ragnarok. That's going to give Ragnarok a nice window where Serral should have 0 upgrades.
Here come the Banes. Going to go 2 for 2. I think both are happy with this. They just want to keep nullifying the potential of offense here. And Serral has a couple of his own Banes coming from the other side. They're not going to get anywhere. Ragnarok saw them coming from a mile away. Really nothing achieved with this one. 2 more Banelings do come forward. He gets 3 drones. That is something. Serral's up 10 workers because Ragnarok has been focused on roaches and he's preparing for this Ling Roach attack. Serral will just be purely on roach production. He needs to stop building drones. He may even need to get a spine crawler started as we get defensive here on altitude.
I think that Serral may have identified... No, okay. He's starting up a lair. I was about to say he has the Evo Chamber, but he hasn't actually started anything with it. So I thought maybe he had identified that there was going to be something coming, but starting up the lair, starting up more drones, this is going to be such a dangerous spot. These lings finally scout out and see what he's going to be up against, and Serral needs non-stop unit production.
He's just coming out of a supply bug. He starts up another drone. Serral just keeps on building workers. I mean, Ragnarok starts a lair. He's not coming across the map with any roaches. Is Ragnarok feeling as though he's almost figured out and just not going to go? Like, his own lair's on the way. He's still building roaches, though. I don't know if you're right. I feel like Ragnarok should be hitting right now, and if he was, I'd be terrified for Serral, but he's just not there across the map.
I'm 100% with you. He's up 30 army supply right now and a Carapace upgrade.
Still building roaches. Did he just cancel? He must have just canceled his lair because it started later, so now he's just going to double down for it. I feel like he's almost just maybe trying to make Serral misread it, but Serral already had a misread. Oh my goodness, this is just getting a little bit crazy as Serral continues to scout out with these Zerglings. He's still behind on army supply, but it's getting to that point where he's going to have a big eco advantage so he can start to swarm out units if he just doesn't get overwhelmed on the first attack. Here is Ragnarok, Lings, Roaches, still yet to begin moving on this large map. Looks like this now might be the time. Serral has Balins ready to counter, still Lings scouting as he works his way around the center here. And he's on his way to, again, missiles, roach speed, all of these probably not going to come into play, but he just needs units, but that army supply gap is closing in. Here, the Balins forcing Ragnarok to look the other way. 3 more drones, and Serral just needs to hold with a 10 army supply deficit.
Yeah, also knocks out some larvae over there, though, but we see the roaches moving on forward, maybe being able to cancel a couple of these Banelings that are still morphing over here for Serral. Serral fishes a massive swarm of these Banelings. They are not able to find good connections on the roaches, but they do manage to find some connections on his opponent's Banelings. Ragnarok comes swarming on forward, the Lings surrounding the Queens, and Ragnarok doesn't seem like he's going to be overwhelmed.
It's not enough, man. I mean, we've got more roaches on the way from Serral. He just needs to get reinforcements out. Serral's shaking his head, though. I mean, Ragnarok doesn't really have too much love here. Is Serral really going to go out? He says yes, he is. He's up in supply, Serral. Don't leave too soon. No, he's going to go out. He says GG. Ragnarok is going to take it. I mean, don't get me wrong. A lot of Serral's supply was ahead in workers, but he had a fair amount of roaches, and it really felt like Serral was on his last kind of few roaches that just maybe survived. I don't know, Ravi.